టాపిక్ ఆడుకోడుకో నీకు డిస్టర్బెన్స్
గుడ్ ఈవినింగ్ మల్లిక్.
గుడ్ ఈవినింగ్ అండి.
గుడ్ ఈవినింగ్ సార్.
వెరీ గుడ్ ఈవినింగ్ మాన్సి.
వెరీ గుడ్ ఈవినింగ్ అండి.
So we welcome Shigeru Ohata from Japan.
Oh,
Yes.
Yeah.
Hearty welcome, Shigeru.
I got to meet him in person finally last January in Japan, and it was really fun. My wife and I have been invited to go to a wedding in India in October, which we are going to.
Where it is?
It is that city that Vinky is from. That same city.
Chennai.
Yes, yes.
Oh. Hi.
Hello. Hi.
Hi.
Thank
Hi.
you for coming.
Welcome, Shigeru.
So how's the weather in India right now?
Now it's cool.
Okay.
So, but in northern India, you maybe find chiller waves, but in South India, it's a little bit more temperature, but it's not that much. But nights, it will be around 10 degrees, 10 to 12.
Okay. We had a wonderful time at the All India Institute in Kochi a couple years ago. That was super fun.
Last year, it's.
Last year. We did the dragon boat rides and I did not drown.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Hope you enjoyed that Kochi boating nets and all.
India does such great institutes. They're like conventions. I mean, the AV and the hospitality show and all the projects you do that are such large impact with helping so many people. It's just a good thing to see.
Mm.
And Japan just had their institute. Just a couple weeks ago, I think. Good morning, Casey.
Anita.
Yes, sir.
ఒకసారి డీజీ గారికి ఫోన్ చేయమ్మా.
I'm calling, sir.
Yeah.
What time is it in Japan?
Yeah, we will start it. We are calling for DZ, and we'll start it.
PDG George, how are you?
He's from Lebanon, 2452.
Yes.
Welcome, George.
Thank you. Thank you.
Last time I saw George in his area of the world, he was having a huge
Yes.
fundraiser.
How are you, Tom?
Just fine. How are you, fine sir?
We always
Good
follow
evening.
your steps, and we always thank you for enlightening us concerning new techniques.
Well, you are so kind, and I'm so fortunate to have friends like you and all on the call that teach me all these great things happening around
Thank
the
you.
world. Positive growth in lots of your areas. And India is one of those rising stars in terms of growth.
Recording in progress.
ఆ సినిమాలో అదేంటి వాటి టాప్ గన్ లో వాడిని బయటికి పడేస్తారు చూడు అట్లా అందరు కలిసి.
Good evening, everyone. This is Murthy Praki.
Good
Good
evening.
evening, Murthy garu. So,
Good evening, sir. How are you?
good evening. So, Mohan,
సార్
start చేసేద్దామా?
చేద్దాం సార్.
So it's 8 o'clock. Huh?
Sir, DG
Yeah,
will
yeah.
join in a 1 minute or so.
At
Okay.
8 p.m. Yeah.
So in the meantime, we'll say, first, I would like to invite all of you, especially the Rotary International Director elect Tom and other team members and 315 Rotarians. I would like to invite you all for this wonderful session that's membership friends in India and in the world. First, let me thank for joining a very important conservation today. And let me begin with the hard truth. The meaning is not about the membership growth. It is about the membership survival and relevance. Today, Murthy garu mute cheskondi. Let me
Done,
begin
sir.
with a hard truth. The meaning is not about the membership growth. It is about membership survival and relevance. Today, Rotary International has approximately 1.2 million members worldwide. What is alarming is not the number. It is a fact that this number has remained almost unchanged for more than a decade. In the same period, the world population increased over 800 million. The number of professionals, entrepreneurs, and young leaders exploded. Yet Rotary's membership curve has remained flat. In India, the picture is even more thought-provoking. We have over 1.4 billion people, one of the youngest population in the world, and yet Rotary India is roughly 1.6 to 1.7 lakh members, with an average membership age close to around 50. This tells us one thing very clearly. Rotary is very well respected in our society. No doubt in it, but not aspirationally enough for the next generation. Another reality we must acknowledge honestly. Tickets have increased. Administrative structures have expanded. But membership numbers have gone.
Vamsi, better mute all.
Okay.
Membership members have not grown prosperity. So that uncomfortable question says, the important question in front of us, are we expanding our structure without expanding people? Equally concerning is the engagement. Many clubs are struggling to conduct consistent, visible, high impact activities. Younger professionals often say that I don't see enough value. Some people say I don't see people like me. Some people say I don't see timely flexibility. And when value perception drops, retention becomes harder than recruitment. Friends, in this continuous unchecked, we must ask ourselves, what will Rotary look like 20 to 30 years from now? Will Rotary be a movement of leaders or a memory of legacy? I am saying this is not to scare you. I say this because we care deeply about Rotary, an organization which survived the last 120 years history. This is why today's session is so crucial. We are extremely fortunate to have with us Rotary International Director-elect Tom Gomb, someone who views the challenges not from one district or from one country, but from a global and strategic perspective. Sir, we are eager to hear your insights on why membership growth is stagnating despite Rotary's incredible goodwill. Whether integrating Rotaract into Rotary membership is a bridge to the future or a temporary fix. How Rotary can genuinely attract youth, not just invite them. What clubs and districts must stop doing, not just start doing. And most importantly, how Rotary can stay relevant for next 30 years. Let me end with this thought for all of us listening today. The greatest threat to Rotary is not lack of funds or lack of service ideas. It is becoming comfortable with stagnation. Sir, on behalf of our district learning team and every Rotarian who believes in Rotary's future, we warmly welcome you. Look forward to your honest, bold, and forward-looking guidance. Over to you, Sam. Before beginning with Tom, I request Mohan Vamsi to introduce Rotary International Director-elect Tom.
Thank you, sir. Good evening to each and every Rotarian joined over here. Speaker Tom Gump and the District Governor Ram Prasad Garu is here. Good evening. It's give me a great pleasure to introduce. Can you please? Yeah, can you please go on mute, please? It gives me great pleasure to introduce Rotarian Tom Gump. Tom Gump is a proud and passionate Rotarian from the Edina Morningside Rotary Club, Minnesota, USA. If there's one word that truly defines Tom, it is membership. He strongly believes that growing Rotary means growing its impact, and today he chairs Rotary International's Membership Growth Committee. Last year, Tom had the honor of serving as aide to the Rotary International President, gaining a close-up view of Rotary leadership at the global level. Looking ahead, Tom is Director-elect and will serve as Rotary International Director for Zones 25B and 29 during 2026-28. He is also playing a key role on the Zone Realignment Committee for the Americas and is co-chair of the Host Organization Committee for the year 2028 Rotary International Convention in Minneapolis. Rotary truly runs in the Gump family. His wife, Catherine, serves as secretary of the Edina Noon Rotary Club, and their son, Andrew, is president of the Twins Port Rotaract Club in Minnesota. The Gumps have also opened their hearts and home by hosting 7 long-term Rotary Youth Exchange students. And when you ask Tom what he loves most about Rotary, his answer is beautifully simple. the friendship he makes along the way. Friends, please join me in giving a warm Rotary welcome to Rotarian Tom Gump. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Over to you, Tom.
Thank you so much. And it is truly an honor to be
Tom,
here.
one second, please. Our district governor is an official tour. I request our Ram Prasad to say hi to all the people for 1 minute. He is on the in official district governor's official visit. Your attention to Ram Prasad.
Hi.
Welcome,
Hello.
Ram. Your time now.
Good evening, friends. Mr. Tom, very good morning to you.
Thank you.
This is Dr. Ram Prasad, the present governor of District 3150 for year 25-26. If you can recollect, we met several times, both at Visakhapatnam and also at Chennai. So it is very nice to see that you are addressing our district with your vast experience and exposure on membership and also the ups and downs of the membership is going the way at present. Your knowledge sharing with our district will inspire all the members who are attending today to bring one, and so that we can strengthen our district and in turn strengthen our Rotary movement. I'm sure and very confident your presence is a great help to improve the membership. I'm extremely sorry that I'm in a district club official meeting. I'm held up with another club of Rotary Club of Cantonment Secunderabad at Hyderabad. You complete this one, but I'm sure my people will make it a recorded one and we'll hear it, and then we will propagate and support the other clubs which are not able to attend today. Thank you so much for giving this opportunity, and thank you so much for attending our district on membership. Thank you so much. Have a nice evening. Bye.
Thank
Well,
you,
thank you, Governor.
Ram, and your attention to Tom.
Well, Governor, I appreciate your comments and so glad you're getting out to the clubs. And Hyderabad has got so many great projects, as does all of India. The engagement there
Thank
is
you.
just wonderful. And I appreciate you allowing me to address your area of the world in this wonderful district. And thank you for the very robust introduction. It's always, you found out what was important to me, and that doesn't always come through in a bio. So thank you for that.
Thank you so
And
much.
yes, thank you. And PDG, thank you for your views on membership was so much fit with mine. You have a holistic approach. You're talking about not only bringing members in, but you're also talking about engagement, which is just so important. So, and it was mentioned that we're going through this zoning realignment. And when you look at the world of Rotary, PDG was right. We have about 1.2 million Rotarians around the world. And once every 8 years, this time it's 9 years because we had to get an enactment through the council on legislation to make sure that we take culture into consideration as we do our zoning realignment. But we're working through that. And when you look at the world and take that 1.2 and you divide it by 34 zones, because we have 34 zones, 17 directors with paired zones. And I have to tell you, your current directors on the board are wonderful. And Triple M is actually the liaison from the board of directors to the Rotary International Membership Growth Committee. And it's just a pleasure to work with him. And Jurgit, who is your director nominee who was just chosen, he's actually on the membership committee as well. And then there's a gentleman from England named Steve Martin who's also on the membership committee. So it's nice to know that with membership being the number one internal priority for Rotary, our number one external programmatic priority being polio, it's nice to know that membership is, I just really believe we're going to do really well. We have the board of directors recently passed our 2030 goal, which is to grow 50,000 net new members every year from this year till 2030, which would bring us to 1.25 million Rotarian members by 2025, which we can celebrate by 2030, which will be our 125th anniversary. So hopefully, when we're in Chicago at that convention in 2030, we'll be able to celebrate that. Now, I honestly believe that's going to happen with places like India. You give me a lot of hope that we can learn from you. So I've helped to learn what you are doing in your district, 3150, so I can share the great work around the world. So if you look at Rotary in three different categories, you look at North America and South America, they will lose a zone during the rezoning. Europe and Africa will stay the same. India and Asia will gain a zone. So it's likely that one of our half zones or full zones from the Americas will actually be pairing up with your new zone in India. So I'm excited about that because I just look at the number of projects that can be done with support projects both ways. It's going to be great. So let me get started here. I was asked to talk about Rotary membership. Can you see my screen okay?
Yes, please.
Okay, thank you. So I was asked to talk about what's going on in your district, 3150, what's going on in India, and what's going on in the world when it comes to trends in membership growth. And feel free to interrupt anytime during this presentation. You don't have to wait to the end. I'm happy to answer any questions you have, because my goal for you, my friends, is for you to leave with the knowledge that you came seeking here today. And thank you for those from Lebanon and Japan and other areas of the world who were kind to come, even though this time might not be convenient for you. So when we look at membership overall around the world, Asia is growing. Asia is 36% of our population now. Back in 2016, it was only 31%. So that's the dark blue area on that bar graph. You look at other places in the world, Australia, New Zealand, the Pacific Islands, they are decreasing, and a small area represented by this cranberry color. Europe, Africa, and the Middle East is 26%. Latin America is that blue. And the Caribbean, US, and Canada, North America, is only 25%. And if you look down, that area used to be 29 in 2016, but now it's gone to 25%. So that kind of reflects the general growth and our zone realignment that happens. Now, when we talk about members and these are numbers of the most recent numbers we can get in Rotary. This came from the December 2nd membership report. So Rotary has 182,000 members. It has close to 5,000 clubs. Worldwide, we have 16.7% women in Rotary, and our average age is 51. And in our last all-member survey that Rotary International did, we actually, for the first time, asked about age. And I'm going to go into that later because you'll see the areas of the world that average older are not growing. And the average age where it is younger, those areas are growing. Now, PDG talked about Rotaract. Rotaract members currently are 41,000. Their clubs are 2,000. Women represent 44%, just over 44% of our membership, and the average age is 22. So this is the exciting part, Rotary membership in India. If you look at 2025, you have 167,871. I love talking about India when I talk to various groups about membership around the world because India is doing so well. And it's for so many reasons, and we're going to get into those reasons. Now, District 3150 is particularly interesting to me because you are really doing well. You have 146 clubs. Worldwide, we have over 36,000 clubs. You have 5,616 members, which is part of the 1.2 million in the world. You have a great percentage, 23%. That beats that 16% we were looking for. So your district has 23% females. And I'm encouraged, even though the female number is lower than we would like it to be, we would like it to represent our demographics of where we are, which is about 50% each. The number of women actually increase every year, both in your district and in Rotary overall. So we can't get discouraged at that 23% because it's better than the other. It's better than, if you could please mute, that would be wonderful. So female membership is growing around the world in your district and in India in general. Members under the age of 40 in your district is 26%, which is wonderful. If you look at the worldwide number, it's only 9%. So you're almost 3 times the worldwide percentage for members under 40. And that's important, and I'll show you the details and the numbers why that prove it. And member retention, 89%. You are doing great with retention. I think that's because of the wonderful, well, I know it's because of the wonderful activities you're involved in. You get your members involved, and we're going to talk a little bit about that. But worldwide, it's 87. So again, District 3150 is beating the world in terms of numbers. Okay, one of the goals that we have is achieving sustainable growth. I received a text message from President-elect Yinka this morning, and he was asking in North America which districts have had substantial, sustainable growth. Sometimes in North America, since we are decreasing in population, if you get below a certain number, Rotary will send you a letter and say, okay, you need to grow, or we're going to have to merge you with another district. And they might get growth for a short period of time, but next year they lose the growth. It doesn't help Rotary International in the long term if we bring in a lot of people and we don't engage them, we don't keep them. So that's very important. We're not just talking about growth for growth's sake. We're not just talking about numbers. We're talking about getting quality members and making sure that we keep them through certain things such as new member orientations and that engagement that India and 3150 does so well. So we want to make sure we bring in members. That's an important part of it. But we can't just bring them in. We have to engage them. Retention is all about engaging them. We're going to talk about details on how we can do that. And the third way we grow Rotary is to form new clubs. So if you think about it, there's no silver bullet. The reason India is doing so well is because it does well in all these areas. Bring in new members, engage those members that we have, including the new members, and start new clubs. And wrapped around all of that is club culture, the club experience. So if we focus on those 3 ways of growing Rotary and club culture, we will achieve sustainable growth. Now, every slide that's in this cranberry color, that talks about Rotaract. When I talk about Rotary, that's in the blue slides. It's important that we work on growing both Rotary and Rotaract. Now, Rotaract has been fully elevated to membership status. So Rotaract is a type of membership. So they are members of Rotary, just like the Rotarians are members of Rotary. But the reason I talk about them separately here today is because when we dive into the data, it seems that from our all-member surveys and our leadership surveys, that Rotaractors join for slightly different reasons than Rotarians do, and they stay for slightly different reasons. The main thing you have to think about when it comes to Rotaract, our young people, is they are joining to develop leadership skills. If a Rotary Club has a not so strong president for 1 year, they survive okay, and the next year they have a strong president. If Rotaract clubs do not have a strong president, and they feel they're not developing leadership skills, and they feel they're not rubbing shoulders with people of significance in their industry or the industry they want to go in, we will lose them. So they do care about friendships. They do care about service to the local and international committees, mostly local. The main thing that Rotaractors are achieving, they hope to achieve by joining a Rotaract club, is that skill development. So anything we can do as Rotarians to help mentor or cross-mentor or find out what they want in terms of development skills and give that to them, they will be happy. They'll feel like they belong. They will stay and bring in others. Now, Rotary is a little bit different. The primary reason that people join Rotary clubs is to develop friendships. And so when we have our club meetings and we have our district meetings, and India is really good at this, you create time in those meetings, whether they be in person, online, for people to interact, for people to share information about themselves and learns about others. We cannot forget that that friendship is important. If every single meeting is highly structured and we go through all the protocols, and protocols are good and necessary, but we have to also make time for that friendship to develop. Now, Rotarians, when you look at the percentages, they are more into service. Of course, they still care about professional connections, but they're more into international service than local service as compared to Rotaractors. So this is the interesting slide I was telling you about, the data we actually found out about age that we used to not ask, but that we asked in our last all-member survey. So remember that chart we looked at, what areas of the world are growing? You know, overall, this is a gross overgeneralization, but an easy way to think about it is the Northern Hemisphere, with a few exceptions, is declining in membership. The Southern Hemisphere, with the exception of Zone 8, which is New Zealand, is not growing as fast. But overall, Southern Hemisphere is growing more than Northern Hemisphere. And there's lots of details we'll talk about later as to why that's happening. But match up those areas of the world on that first slide with what you see here. Sub-Saharan Africa, you know, Southern Hemisphere, age 49, they're growing. Look at that last line, Rotary in Great Britain and Ireland, 71. That area of the world is declining. So if you look at India and Korea and the Philippines, you are all in good shape because your average age is on the young end. It's 51 as compared to Great Britain and Ireland, 71. So also membership trends in North America, US, Canada, and the Caribbean, 62. And their growth is a little decline or moderate mostly, and their age is in the middle. And then you look at Australia, New Zealand, Pacific Islands, their age is higher, and they're actually declining. So there is actually a tie between the average age in Rotary and the growth in Rotary. So what does that mean? That means you and Korea need to keep doing you and India need to keep doing the great job you're doing by bringing in young people. But you got to make sure your clubs are ready. If you're an older club and you bring in one person, like PDG said in his introduction today, if they don't feel like they belong, they'll leave. So we don't want them to leave. So make sure your club is ready to accept young people. If a young person wants to join, ask him or her if they have 2 or 3 other friends that want to join at the same time so that they can have a class so that they can do their own projects. And if they don't like meeting at the time you meet, that flexibility that your PDG talked about, that's important too. So just make your clubs ready and then bring in those young people when you can. So that's been a lot about bringing in new members. What about engaging our existing members? You know, I was proud when I was club president that we brought in 31 people during my year. And I was telling a PDG at a zone meeting how happy I was that we brought in these 31 members. And he said, well, Tom, it doesn't mean anything if you're going to lose those 31 members. So let's talk about what we need to do to keep our members. So we've been talking about bringing them in. Let's talk about how we engage them to keep them. The good news is, per our surveys, there's only 4 reasons why someone leaves Rotary or Rotaract. It's the club environment and culture. That's number 1. They got to feel comfortable. And if they feel comfortable, they'll stay and bring in more people. Unmet expectations is the second most popular reason for people leaving. Time and financial obligations, and 4, personal circumstances. The great news, my friends, is 3 of those 4 we control. We can control the club environment. And even though India is great and the districts are great and the clubs are great, 3150 is great, we can make a better club environment than we have now, and we can talk about that later. That's in our control. Unmet expectations, that's in our control. We can make sure that we actually have new member orientations. And we can talk about this when we get to the discussion point. We could talk about if 3150 as a district wants to have a new member orientation for the whole district, maybe do it once a quarter and invite all the clubs with new members to do it then. But we can let them know when they come in, or even before they come in, what we expect in terms of time commitments, what we expect in terms of giving to the foundation, whether it be the club foundation or the district foundation or the Rotary International Foundation. Um, and then, of course, time and financial obligations. If we're requiring our volunteers to give too much time or to give too much dollars, we can control that. We can control club dues by having, my club this year, in order to control costs, because the meals at the country club went up, we are meeting every other meeting at either a club that we support or a project we support or someone's workplace. We call it Rotary in the Workplace. And so instead of spending $800 for a meal to feed breakfast for everyone at the country club, it's more like $80 for just coffee and bagels there. Now, personal circumstances, the fourth reason why people leave, we can't control that. We can't control if someone got a new job and they have to leave, or someone has a child and they have to spend more time at home. But the good news is that's number four in terms of reasons why people leave when we ask in a survey. The first three, which are the most important, we control. So that's a good thing to think in mind. So we bring them in, we engage them, but the other thing we need to think about, especially on the district level, because club presidents are busy running their clubs, we need to think about what new clubs can we form and where should we form those. And you'd be interested, I think, to find out that most new clubs start in areas that already have a club because people know Rotary. It's just they don't fit into the existing club. Maybe it's not a time that they're able to meet. Maybe it's not a meeting format that they like. But 3150, if you don't have a district-wide e-club, you can start an e-club. So when people don't like a club culture in one club, they can form the e-club. But there's all kinds of new clubs to start. You could do a satellite club, a passport club, a cause-based club. And there's lots of people who can help you with that. The membership coordinators, your district governor, um, assistant Rotary membership coordinators like Lloyd Campbell, who's on the phone today. So we bring them in, we engage them, we start new clubs, but the other thing we have to work on is enhancing the club experience. Our surveys show that the number one reason people stay or leave is that club experience. So what do we need to do to make that club experience worthwhile? Well, we have to have good leaders. We have to have the meetings worth their time. Our members have to get value out of those meetings. We have to have service projects, either local or international, because no one joins a club to do nothing. They join to do something. And luckily, India has very impactful projects. And if you feel like your club is too small to do a meaningful, impactful project, you could partner up with another club and do it together. My club has about 70 people in it. My wife's club has about 150. So certain projects we do, including youth exchange, we actually do together, where my club has more younger members who can host families, can be host families for our youth exchange students. My wife's club, who is more senior in age, they have more ability to write checks. So we balance those things out and we have a good result from that. So we can't just talk about this. It's good for you to come online. It's good for me to learn from you and you to learn from me, but we actually have to go out and do it. We don't want to waste the time we spent here today. We actually have to take concrete action. So what we want to do is we want to make sure that we, as a district, fill out those forms that say who our membership chair is, who's in charge of retention, who's in charge of attraction, who's in charge of new clubs. And we want to make sure that our clubs are accurate on their online presence. As the district governor, your district governor can tell you, as I talk to district governors around the world, sometimes they show up in meetings and the club is not meeting at that day because they changed their time or they changed their place of their meeting, but they didn't update the website. So make sure we do that. Now we need to get feedback from our members. If we do a survey, if we do an assessment, and Rotary's got 7 different kinds of assessment tools, and you could do it when the members come in, you could do it when they exit, you can do it during the year, but Rotary International recommends that you do a survey at least once a year. Now, why once a year? Because the culture in your clubs are always changing. You have new members joining, you have other members that are leaving. The feel for what they want to do in terms of where you meet, when you meet, how you meet, online or in person, the socials you do, the service projects, what your club thinks about today might be something different. They might want something different a year from now because it has changed. Maybe something new has come in the community. Maybe you have more refugees to the community that you want to serve that didn't exist the year before. But we must prioritize the club experience. So we ask our members what they want. If it makes sense and the majority want a certain thing, we give them what they want. Then they feel like they've been heard. And that feedback, it needs to be a continuous feedback loop. So a survey once every 5 to 10 years doesn't cut it. We should do it once a year. Now, when we ask clubs and districts if they've done surveys, most have not, only a few percentages have. But the ones that have, we ask them when they do. And most clubs, they do exit interviews. I can tell you, exit interviews are probably not the best time to do an interview because our Rotarians are nice people. They might not tell you the full, honest reason why they are leaving. And even if they do, we don't have time since they're leaving to make corrective action to keep them. And when they leave, they might have to give a reason to their friends why they left. And that's just bad public relations and public image. So let's do surveys. And exit surveys are okay. They're not bad, but I think it's better to do them before they're leaving. So now, this is a picture of my club. When I was telling you we go to different places to do service projects, we went to do packing for high school students who were insecure for food-wise and weren't getting enough food at home. So I'm going to stop sharing and we're going to enter into my favorite part of any presentation or facilitation, and that's hearing from you about what questions you have and learning what's going on in India and see how we can do things better to make 3150 even better than it is today. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom, for your excellent deliberation about the comparisons and explanation about the membership growth and the age and perception and concepts of the membership growth. And here we are having our district governor-elect Uday, who
Good evening.
here, yeah.
Good evening.
And I can ask you one or two questions. If Rotary continues with membership models, what do you realistically see happening in the next 10 to 15 years?
If we all do our part, I really do believe Rotary can grow. I was telling you in the beginning about this new membership goal, our 2030 goal. And most of our goals in Rotary are in a 3-year, as of last year, 3-year rolling plan. But membership is on a 5-year plan. And why is that? Because membership is our most important priority. Let's face it, 70% of revenue for Rotary International that it uses to add value to our clubs and districts and zones comes from membership dues. If we start losing members and continue to lose members worldwide, we're not going to be able to do what we need to do. I mean, let's face it, why do we want to grow Rotary? It's not just to have more members, it's to have more hands and hearts for service. We can do more good in the world. We can do more local projects and international projects if we have more Rotarians. So I do think the membership models we have, and there's a lot of them now, we have corporate clubs, we have cause-based clubs. And we don't have to fit into one of the models. If you have a way that we can reach out to potential members of Action and bring them into Rotary, and we can't serve them now because of the structures of our club, let's form a new club that meets their schedule, that meets their needs. But I do think we can meet those goals. Now, Rotary International just recently went through a staff reconfiguration, and this just came into effect within the last 10 days or so. And what they've done was our club and district support in India and around the world, it takes a lot of complaints for harassment and things like that. But that took up so much time that our club and district support staff could not focus on growing Rotary. So they set up an individual committee to handle those complaints. And then they reorganized most individuals had to reapply for their job, and they got to be put into a job that makes more sense. Some of them stayed the same, some moved to other jobs. But because of that reorganization and because of the goal that's being pushed by Yinka, who's our president-elect, by our current president, Francesco, and by Larry Lunsford, who's our president nominee, I think we're going to reach it. Just recently, the CEO had added to his performance review membership growth, which wasn't part before. So there's a lot of things going on. We're redoing, as Rotary International is redoing its lead programs where people contact Rotary International. And right now, those leads actually go to the district, but some districts, they get caught up in there and they don't get down to the club level. That's all being restructured. A new computer platform, a new delivery, third-party vendors helping us deliver the platform. And from now on, it's going to go, those assignments will go to, after a questionnaire is filled out by the potential person. We got to stop calling them leads. We got to start treating them not as a transaction or as a business, but treating them as potential members to Rotary. So we'll change our language at the same time. But those potential new members will actually go to the club first as opposed to going to the district. And we think that's going to help a lot. So I do think, to answer your question, PDG, I think we will grow, and I think we'll reach that 1.25 million by 2030. Thank you for the question.
Thank you, Tom, and your attention to Uday now.
Thank you, Tom. My
Hello, you do.
challenge, hi. My challenge comes, yes, new clubs are one growth thing, but existing clubs, we have a challenge whereby there's a diversity of the members within the same club. And you've got people who are participative, people who are not, people who are there just for the heck of it. And that results in new members or new potentials refusing to join because they don't get the right environment in. And the existing leadership within the club, they can't change it because they're saddled with the whatever back, log that has come through. What is your honest opinion as to how do we go about changing the culture within the club, which is beset by a bunch of older generation Rotarians or Rotarians who don't fit in anymore, but they're there and they're dues paying members. And then you got a bunch of newer members who want to make a change but are unable to. This is a universal problem, I think. What is your opinion or advice or guidance or some solution to these kind of things?
Uday, thank you very much for asking that question because it's a very important question. And you are right, it's a universal problem. It doesn't matter if I go to my district or I go to Korea. And it's interesting because, or anywhere around the world, we have a phenomena going on in Rotary where the oldest clubs, they usually identify themselves as a number. In my district, it's called number 9 because they were the 9th club that formed. Next door to me, if you go to the east, it's number 10 because it was the 10th one formed. But all over the world, we have clubs that used to have 600, 700 people with 4 full-time administrators, now going down to 60 or 70 people. And I've been asked this question before, why is this happening? And when you go into a deep dive into these, and this goes to answer your question, Uday, when you go to deep dive into those, what you find out is some of those clubs are very steeped in tradition. And tradition is very important. But when you place tradition higher than what your club members want, for example, if you have a past president's fancy dinner, which is fine once a year, but other club members see it and they're not invited to it, you get to a problem where you don't really respect all the opinions of people in the club. Let's face it, those older clubs, those bigger clubs, they were the ones that did all the projects. They were the clubs that spawned the growth of the district governors. Well, people want to join a club where they have an opportunity to grow, where they have an opportunity to fit in, where they feel like they belong and that people actually listen to their opinions. So what I would say, if you have trouble within a club because there is, and this happens a lot, you have an older crowd and then you have a younger crowd, we need to see if we can get them together. If for some reason they can't get together, what you may want to consider is starting a satellite club where the younger group actually meets at a time and place that works for them. We have the way we grow in North America, we often have the first new club we start is a young professionals club where the younger members don't want to meet during the workday at a fixed cost meal. Like I meet every Tuesday morning at a country club. My wife meets at her club, same city, same country club, but on Thursday afternoon, mostly retired people. The younger people may want to meet at a restaurant or a bar at night because that fits better with their schedule. Let them do that. They're still members of your club. They can still come to the social and the galas and the service projects, but let them make their own club that they're proud of. And you'll see that they'll start recommending their parents to your club, and your club will start recommending their children to their club, and it all works. That flexibility that PD talked about, we need to provide that. We need to not be afraid of innovation and change.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you. My take is that the club leadership generally is a Rotarian who is between 3 and 5 years into Rotary, right? We have got challenge with getting leaders to lead the Rotary clubs. Now that guy, he's 3 to 5 years into Rotary. Now he's saddled with this. He's going to start operating through a satellite club. He needs to operate the main club, and that is where the disconnect happens. And then the leadership, is not empowered enough, and then he loses interest, and then the year just goes on. There is this, very difficult to explain problem that happens, and that is where that all that enthusiasm with which he comes onto the post is lost very quickly, and then you have to keep pushing him.
Yes, I can see that's a problem, and I see that in many clubs. So what I suggest you do is I would suggest you do a club survey. I remember a couple years ago, a club president came to me and said, Tom, I have this problem. Half the club wants to do away with the four-way test, and the other half of the club wants to keep the four-way test. Well, I didn't start by saying, oh, that's a council legislation deal. You have to wait for 3 years to go to the next council legislation. I told him to do a survey. He did it, and then he came back to me. And what it turned out is only two people, this was a 30-person club, wanted to do away with the survey, with the four-way test, but they were the loudest of the club. So he thought that, okay, it's 50-50. It was really only two people. So when he went back to the club and said, okay, we listened to you, and there's two people who want to do this, but the 85% that responded, other than those two, want to keep it, we're going to do what the club wants. So you didn't alienate the people who were the boisterous ones because you didn't do it by just being club president and say, we're going to keep it, we're not listening to you. You listened to them and you went with the majority. So this might be a way for the senior leadership in your club to realize what's going on because they might think that the way it used to be done is the right way because it worked for them. They might not know that the majority of individual members of your club want to do it differently. So that's how I would approach it for a first step.
Excellent idea. We'll try that.
Thank you very much. Let me know how it goes.
Yes, we'll do that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. And Anita, most probably your question is also covered in this Uday's question.
Yes, please.
Yeah. And your attention to Vamsi.
Hi, Tom. A couple of
Hey.
questions I have. Looking ahead 10 years, what will Rotary membership look like and what must we do now to stay relevant is my first question. Second one is, in your experience, what makes a new member decide within first 6 months whether to stay or quietly exit Rotary? Can you please throw some light on these two questions, Tom?
Well, thank you very much for those two questions. What will Rotary look like 10 years? I hate to say it, but it all depends on what we do. I predict 3150 will grow significantly in the next 10 years. I believe India will grow significantly in the next 10 years. I love when your current directors, when I go to India or I see them in Chicago, they always are full of energy and tell me they're going to grow and by this much, and they tell me their plan, and it makes me happy. And it always challenges me because I want to be like India. And not just because of all the great things you do, but I want to grow so we can do more good things. But I learned a lot working for President Stephanie last year. And when people say Rotary, sometimes they're talking about the 800 staff that we have, mostly in Evanston, but all around the world, in Pune and in your country. But she reminds me often that Rotary is we. It's all of us on this call. It's what we do. So what we need to do is everything we can do. When I started chairing the Rotary International Membership Growth Committee, what I did was I decided we're not just going to make recommendations to the board of directors. We're actually going to do things. I lobbied and finally got passed through the board of directors um, a change in our terms of reference that says not only do we make recommendations sitting from in the boardroom making recommendations to the board of directors, we have to do things. So at our meetings, I tell you, we do things. We write thank you cards to the new members that join the Chicago area. We as a group go speak to the local clubs in Evanston about how to grow Rotary. It doesn't help for me just to make recommendations. I was excited it took me 6 years to get it through. It took me 2 COLs, but through working with my district, we got a resolution passed at the last council legislation that took the minimum number to start a club from 20 down to 15. Um, and that's important for these new clubs that we're starting because if you meet electronically, you don't have to negotiate a facilities use agreement. You don't have to worry about getting the food there. You don't have to worry about all those things that a terracotta in-person meeting has. So we need to do things and not just talk about things. And I need all of your help. And the Rotary World needs all of our help to work on this because membership is not just a one committee deal, it's all of us. Now, the new member, your second question.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry I'm spending so much time on these answers, but I'm passionate about this. And if any group can help us grow, it's India. And it's 3150. New members joining and then leaving within 6 months. We have a retention problem. We're pretty good at attraction. We bring in 160,000 people into Rotary a year, but we lose more than that every year. And what's concerning is not only that we lose them, it's when we lose them. We lose 10% within the first year. After the first 3 years, we lose 50%. After 3 years, they're like all of us. You're here on an evening when you could be spending time with your family, but you are dedicated Rotarians, and I love you all for that. And thank you for all you're doing, especially for the growth you're doing and the projects you're doing. But we need to engage our members. And there's different ways you can do it. My wife's club, as soon as you join their club, you're assigned to a committee so that you know people, so you have someone to sit to lunch with. You can do that. Some clubs have a red badge, blue badge, where when you join, you have to do a certain number of things in order for your red badge to turn into a blue badge, which means you're a full member of the club. That's a good idea. Um, Let me ask you this, Mohana. Do you have a district-wide new member orientation?
Yeah, we
Yes,
have.
we do.
Oh, wonderful. Wonderful. So is that new member orientation, is it something you stand up and you present, or do you have a two-way flow of communication between the new members and yourselves?
It's a facilitated learning.
Wonderful. So
Yeah,
good.
it's an opportunity to bring them in a row.
And when you have that ability, you tell them about your district. Do you also tell them about the larger Rotary, what happens in your zone, in your paired zone international?
Yes, we do cover
Yeah,
all
yeah,
the.
we do that.
Good. Wonderful. And so that is why India is growing. You think about it, when I joined my club, we didn't have a new member orientation. And then when we first started doing it, we just said, our club does this, this, and this. So if someone had a dispute with someone in their club or a personality clash, they would leave the club and they left Rotary. In so many places around the world, they're not joining Rotary International in name only. They're joining their club because they don't know there's a larger Rotary. So what you do well is you talk about your fellowships, that Rotary International fellowships. You talk about the action groups they can join. You talk about they can go to the Rose Bowl parade float in January and decorate a float. You talk about they can be a paid observer at council legislation. You don't have to be your district's representative. You could just pay and observe. You can go to International Assembly not only as a DGE, but as a paid observer. All these things could add value to our members. And if we don't tell them about it, there's so many ways to get engaged in Rotary, and I wish everyone did like you do in 3150. I wish we talked about all the value that Rotary has as opposed to just talking about we're going to pick up trash on the side of the road this Saturday. That's what they see. We don't tell them about the other things. So thank you for what you're doing.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you, Tom. And your attention to Murthy Vadapalli. Murthy, are you here? Would
Yeah,
you
go ahead.
advise larger clubs breaking into smaller clubs for better retention?
That's really a area specific question. You know, if I go to, let's say, Thailand, Rotary District, that's wonderful. Um, they respect their elders. So their culture says if we can't change, you know, going back to the problem we were talking about, how do you get a club to change? If you can't change, they start another club. So they might be about 3,000, same as another club in their same district, same number of clubs in another district in their area. But they keep on forming new clubs because they don't want to insult their elders. But if you go to Vietnam, they're change, change, change. They are constantly changing their clubs. So overall, between 1996 to today, the average club in 96 was over 60 people. Now it's just under 30 people. But as your PDG brought up, we've been about the same number. Why is it the same number? But the clubs are shrinking in size because we're growing more clubs. Now, we talked about Northern Hemisphere not growing, Southern Hemisphere growing. But if you look at the number of clubs they start, they're growing more clubs and starting and forming new clubs in the Southern Hemisphere than the Northern Hemisphere. So it makes sense, doesn't it, my friends? If you are losing clubs and you're not forming new clubs, you're not going to be growing. But if you're forming new clubs, um, you're going to grow. So we need to form those clubs. But whether or not you need to form a new club or uh, work on growing your current club. We need to do both, but it depends on your area. India seems to be doing both when I look at the numbers, but we should focus on both. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And it may be last one or two questions. We'll invite Abhishek. Abhishek, are you here?
Yeah, yes. Hey,
Yeah.
Tom. I hope you're doing
Thank
well.
you, Tom. Your
Thank
response was quite.
Okay. Sorry, I did not want to cut the other rotating. My question is more focused on technology's integration within how we are attracting or retaining our current members. Many folks have started to move from reading magazines or reading any paper-based documentation, right? How's Rotary working on bringing technology into forefront?
So Rotary is working on that. The editor of the North American magazine in Rotary International, Wen Hung, that's the kind of the cornerstone of our public relations effort. He has just taken on additional responsibility to work on our podcast and our web presence. So they are bringing in staff that allow them to do podcasts. We did one just a couple weeks ago with a club that was growing in Alpharetta, Georgia, and had significant growth, and talked about how they did that. Um, as a whole, staff is trying to start to embrace artificial intelligence. Um, and when you say Rotary, the staff is working on their own. They have 30 licenses where they're trying to use that. But the volunteers have just formed a fellowship, the Artificial Intelligence Rotary Fellowship, and they're starting to have every 2 weeks seminars about how we can do things. But it's amazing when we do things. Last Friday night, we had staff in town looking at Minneapolis for the convention, and I received a email from a man in Mexico, Rotarian, and he wanted me to answer all these questions that in the form of a letter that would be front of their directory for their zone. So I put it in artificial intelligence, and it was interesting how um, accurate they were with Rotary. I mean, there's some things that would be changed, but I thought it was funny because when it asked for steps to make Rotary grow, it said artificial intelligence recommended me to heartily embrace artificial intelligence. So AI was telling me to use AI, so I included that. I thought that was pretty funny.
Nice.
So I included that in my final draft letter that went to Mexico for that.
Tom,
Thank you.
quick follow-up there. You may know India has so many languages, right? And one of the reasons I noticed that the message doesn't reach many people is the localization part, and it applies to African countries and the Latin countries as well. I think Rotary should also focus on making sure the message is customized to the people who would like to read it. The moment they see the message coming in English, folks are not well versed with reading in English, seem to only focus on the images, which they don't understand what the image is trying to tell them. So, with your influence on these decision making processes, if you could help the teams also think about the larger context and the people who don't know how to read English, would be very beneficial for them to absorb the content.
Abhishek, I'll answer for that because in the magazines and all, there is a standard protocol in that. We'll discuss separately that.
Yeah, and I'm glad you're working on that
Sounds
in
good.
India.
Yeah.
And
You added
it's important. Yeah. One of my classmates, Emmanuel Katanga, who's from Uganda, who will be director when I'm director, he is going to ask Rotary International when we get to the board to look at different languages. There's always a balance of how much cost can be absorbed and how much dues can be used to do that and what it takes away from. But it is very important, and I'll keep that on my radar, and I will make a note to bring that up for at least a study of what languages need to be added to Rotary and how much costs. Thank you for bringing that to my attention, and we'll work on that.
Yeah, your last question from Nagarjyoti.
Hello.
Yeah. Hello,
My
thank you
friend.
thank you so much for inviting Reddy sir, and I'm very glad to be part of this meeting because one of the honorary membership is offered to me by Rotarian Pradeep from District 3150, and I would like to just share here one thing that I am associated with multiple Rotary clubs with the honorary membership and e-club. The future of the Rotary, definitely there is a e-club. E-club is I'm associated last 7 to 8 years e-club innovation UK, and we are literally doing very good, and even we are implementing on the ground level real live projects. So in India I'm representing, so we all people are having conversation, and in Nepal, India and other places we have done an excellent project. So environmental aspect point of view or anything, so I'm literally having a great fellowship as well as action oriented uh, via Rotary Club. Even though my profession is environment, I'm day to day dealing with the environment, but at the same time via Rotary social aspects point of view, literally enjoying whatever is the things are happening around. And one thing I would like to share here, that recently last week Rotary International has approved. We four women, we actually are very much passionate about the environment. I am a SRAG member, and SRAG is doing too good. Still, we have formed a Earth Network Club, Rotary New Earth Network Club, which I have mentioned now in the chat, and we are launching it January. So already we have got approval from Rotary International. So I would like to invite you all to our club. And Tom sir, I'm always, following you, at the same time enjoying the Rotary. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And you bring up a very valid point. I mean, e-clubs are growing. We have about 8,000. We can't get into specific number because not every club puts E in their name. That's an e-club. But I can tell you, the Goti B is right. In my district, our fastest growing club is a club that I formed a few years ago called Global Travelers. And they meet online, but they meet in person 4 times a year to do impactful projects around the world. They've been to the rainforest, they've been to Cuba, they've been to Vietnam, do projects in all of them. But it's interesting that you can, as 3150, as a district, you can actively work this angle to grow your area. There are some clubs in North Carolina a couple years ago that got a list of the most recent people who have left over the last 5 years in Rotary, and they just picked up the phone and called them and said, okay, we realize you left Rotary. Do you know we're forming a district-wide e-club that you can join? Because let's face it, if someone has to leave because of a job change or someone doesn't feel comfortable in their club, they may not want to leave Rotary International. So if 3150 has an e-club and every time that a member leaves, you just have a volunteer or a staff person call them and say, how about our e-club? You'll be surprised at how many people you can get back. Do you have a district-wide e-club now in 3150?
Yeah, we recently started one e-club, but South Asian office given charter as the main club, as the regular club. But we are communicating with them. In the same club, our Nagajyoti is also a member. Very recently, this year, we started that Rotary Club of Bharati Connect.
Nice.
So most of the people from Bangalore and other parts of the
Yes,
world,
sir.
they joined together and we started that e-club. Earlier there were certain e-clubs and they converted to be a regular clubs and doing that. Thanks for your
That is so
suggestions.
wonderful. Because again, PDG, if you go back to the 4 reasons why they leave, one of the top 3 were time and expense. If you are going to an e-club, you don't have to drive to a meeting. That saves you
Correct.
time. If you don't have a high club dues because you're not paying for a meal, that helps too. So I think Nagoti B and you are right. E-clubs are going to grow in the future. And to answer Mohana's question, I see the future.
Definitely DG is here. Uday will take care of that and moving forward to start some e-clubs.
Wonderful. So 3150 will grow and it'll grow with more e-clubs. That's the future.
Thank
Sir,
you.
I think e-club is more communicating than the physical club. We are having our WhatsApp group. We are on the Teams. We are having in the DAC-DB as well as on the email. And we are literally like a family members to each other now.
Wonderful. Wonderful. I'm so glad to hear that.
Everything so transparent and so nice. Matlab, distance, I mean to say, distance doesn't matter.
Right. It's true. And if you follow like your family, I know
It
when
all
your
depends
husband's
on the
having a
membership,
birthday, your son's having a
members
birthday.
and their memberships.
Yeah. Mhm. Good point.
Right, then, Tom, I would like to thank you for bearing with us from last 3 months. We are contacting you and we finalized the date and from on behalf of the district and the governor and from the on behalf of the Rotarians, I would like to say a big thank for you and please accept a token of gift and a thank you card for you and we'll forward it to you. And uh, nothing to say. We had a nice and a very good interactive session with you in future. We hope to see in a good positions and definitely in your directorship. We would like to invite you for our district.
I would love to come to your district and see you
Definitely.
all in person.
Thank you. Thank you, Tom.
Thank you, sir.
We'll
Thank you
see you
so
in
much.
Orlando, maybe.
Yes, definitely. We will be
Yeah,
there.
definitely.
Okay. Cheers. Thanks.
Cheers.
Night.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Have a great night.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.